You know, people always say when you finally reach your dreams, you'll feel peace. But nobody warns you that sometimes it's not the dream itself that gets shattered, it's the people around you who make it a nightmare. When I bought my $7 million lakefront mansion, I thought I had made it. Years of sacrifice, late nights, grinding at a career that drained me. It had all paid off. This place wasn't just a house, it was a symbol. A sprawling mansion with glass walls opening up to a private dock, a lake that stretched like a sheet of glass, and sunsets that painted the water in fire every night. I imagined my kids jumping into the lake during summers, barbecues with friends on the deck, and quiet mornings sipping coffee with nothing but the sound of waves lapping against the shore. It was supposed to be paradise. But then came the neighbors. At first, it was small things. I'd noticed footprints on the dock when no one in my family had been outside, lawn chairs mysteriously out of place, beer cans rolling around near the edge of the lake. I brushed it off. Maybe local kids sneaking around? Maybe harmless. But soon, I learned it wasn't strangers. It was my neighbors, a family who lived across the cove, known for their arrogance, loud parties, and this smug sense of entitlement, as if the entire lake belonged to them. And to them, my mansion wasn't a home. It was a threat. They didn't like that an outsider, their word, not mine, had bought the grandest property on the water. To them, I was some intruder who didn't belong in their little community. So they made it their mission to remind me. It started with snide remarks. Whenever I crossed paths with them, they'd smirk. "Nice place you've got there." "For now," one of them muttered once, his tone laced with mockery. Another time, when I was mowing the lawn, one of their teenage sons shouted across the water, "Hope you like cleaning up trash, rich boy," and tossed an empty soda can into the lake. Annoying, yes, but manageable. Then came the real damage. One morning, I walked out to the dock and found deep scratches across the side of my boat. Not accidents, deliberate gouges. Another day, my outdoor lights were smashed, shards of glass scattered like glitter across the pathway. On weekends, they'd row over uninvited, clambering onto my dock with their drunk friends, blasting music at midnight, leaving behind bottles, cigarette butts, and vomit. Imagine pouring every ounce of yourself into building a sanctuary, only to watch it be trampled on like a playground for people who despised you. I felt powerless. I tried reasoning with them. I walked over once, calmly asking if they could respect the property lines, if they could just leave my home alone. Their response? Laughter. Full-on, belly laughter, like I was a comedian delivering a punchline. "You think this lake is yours? Buddy, we've been here for decades. You're nothing but a tourist with money to burn. Don't get too comfortable." Those words cut deep, and their actions got worse. They started graffitiing my walls, crude drawings, nasty insults sprayed in neon paint that took hours to clean. They slashed my tires twice. My kids stopped feeling safe. My wife refused to go outside alone. The dream I worked for was turning into a prison, and every day I felt smaller, weaker, more humiliated. And then came the breaking point. I came home one night after a business trip. Exhausted, dragging my suitcase up the driveway, and I froze. My stomach dropped. My mansion, my beautiful sanctuary, looked like a war zone. Windows shattered, curtains fluttering through broken glass. Spray paint covered the walls. Words like "get out" and "loser" scrawled across what was supposed to be our home. Inside, furniture overturned, smashed. My heart pounded as I stepped through the wreckage, every crunch of glass under my feet like a scream echoing in my head. I remember gripping the edge of the kitchen counter, my hands shaking so hard I could barely stay upright. My chest burned with fury. My throat was tight. And in that moment, something inside me snapped. Enough was enough. That night I wasn't just a victim anymore. I became something else. Here's what my neighbors didn't know. When I bought the mansion, I also secured ownership of the dock and the legal water access rights to that section of the lake. Meaning, technically, the lake life they bragged about, the boats they loved, the summer parties they threw, It all existed because of rights they didn't even own. I did, and I was done playing nice. First, I documented everything: photos, videos, every incident logged and time-stamped. Then I called in experts, lawyers, surveyors, even the county records office. I confirmed every inch of my ownership. The dock? Mine. The only access route for motorboats in that cove? Also mine. Without my permission, they couldn't legally touch the water. Then I filed the paperwork, quietly, patiently. I revoked every shared access right. I had no trespassing signs posted, gates installed at the entrance to the dock, and legal enforcement notices mailed directly to their home. The next weekend, I watched from my deck as they strutted down with their guests, beers in hand, ready to hop on their boats. They stopped dead in their tracks at the gate, signs everywhere, locks on the dock. One of them tried to undo it, but within minutes, local officers I'd coordinated with showed up. They explained the new reality. Without my permission, their boats couldn't launch. Period. The fury on their faces was priceless. Their voices rose, shouting, arguing, threatening. Their friends awkwardly slipped away. And there I was, sipping iced tea on my deck, watching them realize their entire summer lifestyle had just evaporated. No more late-night parties, no more joyrides, no more smug smirks. Their status symbol, the lake, was gone, all because they pushed me too far. Over the next weeks, the meltdown was glorious. Boats sat useless, baking in the sun. Their kids sulked on shore, staring at the water they could no longer touch. Their guests stopped coming. Their house, once alive with noise, grew quiet. And every time I walked down my dock, I could feel their eyes burning holes into me. But I didn't care, because for the first time in months, I felt free. My family felt safe, and justice, real justice, had finally been served. You know, revenge isn't always about shouting or fighting back in the heat of the moment. Sometimes it's about patience, about letting people dig their own graves while you quietly collect the shovel. They wrecked my mansion. They tried to wreck my peace, but in the end, they destroyed themselves. And I'll tell you what, the sweetest sound in the world wasn't their insults or their laughter. It was silence. The silence of victory. So here's the lesson I learned. People who disrespect boundaries eventually hit a wall they can break. Karma doesn't always knock loudly. It waits, then it slams the door shut when they least expect it. And for me, that slammed door was my dock, my lake, my revenge. If this story gave you chills, hit that like button, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and tell me in the comments, what's the most satisfying revenge you've ever seen? And of course, subscribe for more stories that prove karma always comes full circle.